The atomic bomb. The United States chose this weapon for a reason. But why? There are many different factors that can influence on the choice of weapon for this specific time period. First off, Einstein wrote a letter to President Roosevelt explaining his concern that the Germans were developing a new powerful bomb. Einstein suggested in finding a way to acquire this type of energy and begin building before the Germans do. The United States learned that German physicists have found out how to split a uranium atom. The U.S. had feared this possibility of Nazis building a bomb. After Franklin Roosevelt and the officials decided that the dropping of the bomb means to a faster end of the war and ensure fewer war casualties. They did, however, consider the role that the bomb's impressive power could play in the afterwar in relation with the Soviet Union. After President Roosevelt's death, Harry Truman stepped into office. Before President Franklin Roosevelt died, Truman did not know about the bomb and had to be filled in. Truman continued to build and work on the bomb. Also, the dropping of the bomb would justify the cost of the Manhattan Project. The Manhattan Project was a secret program of which the United States had funneled an estimate of over $1 trillion through December 31st, 1945. Lastly, they were responding to the Pearl Harbor attack. When generals were objecting to use the bomb, President Truman responded by stating the events that took place during the Pearl Harbor attack, and quote, "When you have to deal with the beast, you have to treat him as the beast." How did the bombing affect Japan's future? Like before, there are many different aspects to this. One is that the months and years that followed after the bombing, an additional 1,000 perished from burns and radiation sickness. Those who have survived Hiroshima still fear for their lives as well as their offspring's lives on a daily basis because of the lingering health effects. The children of the survivors worry that the cancer will develop as their parents were exposed to such a vast amount of radiation. Instead of being killed outright, as most of the victims were, they would have survived for a few days or even 3 to 4 weeks, only to die eventually of radiation disease. The atomic bomb had an impact on the rest of the world. For starters, 2 days after the bombing, the Soviet Union declared war on Japan. The Soviet Union had entered the war against Japan, and the atomic bomb could be read as a strong message for the Soviets to tread lightly. Critics have charged that Truman's decision was a barbaric act that brought negative long-term consequences to the United States. Some military analysts insist that Japan was on its knees and the bombing was simply unnecessary. The American government was accused of ransom on the grounds that such a device would never have been used against civilians.